Hello and welcome to the Carbitrage Podcast, episode 168. I'm Erik Berger, joined as always by my co-host Ryan Snitsky. Hello, sir.
I've got a bag up.
You do. And Jana's back with us. Hello.
Hello.
And if you guys are watching us on Twitch or you're probably just listening to us wondering, hey, why do you guys sound like you used to? It's because we're actually back where we typically record in the studio.
I'm social distancing from Erik. I'm a solid 5 feet away from him.
Yep, and we're like 6 inches apart.
But you're not looking at each other.
That's true.
I've just given up hope at this point. The world's going to end, so I mean...
I think the Mayans just had it like 8 years off.
Yeah.
The calendar was just a little bored.
It was the dyslexic guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it was Gordon.
He had some problems with math. They had just recently invented zero,
In India.
Yeah, in India.
Well, the Mayans
The Mayans had their own zero.
found zero independently.
Yeah.
Because they were...
We're talking about this because we were talking about a documentary on the history of math I was watching last night.
Which broke my brain because I was reading lots of numbers.
On Curiosity Stream, which, Curiosity Stream, I will start plugging you if you sponsor us.
It costs literally $6 a year. We don't need
we're not talking about what their subscription prices are, as affordable as they may be, until they sponsor us.
Oh my God. I pay for your subscription.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome once again to Carbitrage, the ASMR channel.
Yep.
Before we kick off with stories, I want to quickly touch on Patreon. Head on over to patreon.com/Carbitrage. On this platform, which is a direct support method for content consumers like you to support content producers like us, you'll find 2 open-ended levels of support, both of which will actually get you little perks, like can koozies, ability to submit topics to us for consideration, and things like that.
There's a red-winged blackbird on
your
deck. He's very cute.
That thing shits more than any other bird I've ever seen in my entire life. The deck is ruined. It's just completely ruined.
He's a shitbird.
He's a shitbird.
Blackbirds, like in one of our archaeology sites, blackbirds are so prevalent that the farmers back when the whites first settled there, the blackbirds were so bad that they couldn't farm.
That was pretty funny.
Because they would wake up and their farm fields would be black.
With poop?
No, from the birds.
Oh.
It's just like a bunch of Jadas roaming around.
Yeah, exactly.
Jesus, the autism would be really intense. Anyway, I guess I'll kick us off with the first topic. Porsche's air-cooled cars, in fact, like the hearing aid beige one that's apparently outside that I can't see.
It's really cute.
They're kind of based around this flat-six air-cooled engine that's just historically been in the wrong place.
The Mazda,
Yeah, the Bezger engine. So that was around up until, I think, 2012. It was in all the air-cooled models. They added water jackets to it for the 959. Then that progressed into the water-cooled 996 Turbo and GT3 engines. And then it was eventually replaced with the direct injection engine in 2012. However, this engine is notoriously excellent for holding power and for reliability, and it's named after a Porsche engineer.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, this chap has just passed, not from the COVID, at 90 years old. Oh, check out that ad block thing. Yeah.
Oh, he's good looking.
And maybe this will make people understand how to spell his name. It's Mezger.
How do they normally spell it?
Oh, they're usually with a T, Metzger.
No, it's Mazda.
Yeah.
I mean, the Japanese cars.
Americans are dumb.
Yeah, but I don't even care about Porsche, and
it's Panhard to the Americans. So
now,
of course it's Metzer.
But there he is. There was him looking dapper, probably in the 80s. But
I'm gonna say 60s.
He probably hasn't aged at all from that picture.
So wait a minute. So he was. How old was he? He was 90.
He might be 70.
Probably.
No, 80s was 30 years ago. So yeah, he's probably in his 60s. Look how droopy his skin is.
It's not that droopy. It's just like
droopy.
It's just savagely tan.
Yeah, he's definitely
got a lot of sun
cancer.
damage.
Yeah.
Hans Metzger. Yeah. But anyway, he worked at Porsche from 1956 to 1993.
Wow.
It's just crazy. But yeah, he's a excellent chap.
From the time my dad was born to the time I was born.
Yeah.
Dude earned his gold watch. Yeah. Put it that way.
Not really. Well, to be fair, there are worse jobs to have than being in the engine engineering department.
Yeah, you could be cleaning the Porsche toilets.
Yeah, or like you could be working at GM.
Or Audi.
Or like, Ford.
But anyway.
Chrysler.
Yeah, the Metzger engine though, that was
Honda.
quite the icon. I mean, it didn't have any of the IMS bearing problems that the other
Yeah, you know about
designed
that.
Porsche. Actually, my IMS was fine. It was a rod bearing issue. It actually had an IMS done at some point.
And just
like,
everything else
just
was
before
broken.
it. Yeah, it had like a brand new clutch and IMS, and I'm like, oh, great, okay. But the rod bearings aren't usually an issue. The rod bolts they use on those are just made out of like fromage.
Oh, gross.
So if you over rev it once, which apparently my car had done in the past,
And they're
it
just ready to let
stretches
go.
the rod bolts and then they start backing out.
Oh.
And
You
then
see, Mezger
tons of
wouldn't have
oiling
done that.
clearance. No, what he did is he used plain bearings on the cams.
So he uses
You know,
smart
actually,
cookie.
come to think of it, I think everything good about Porsche was based around this one man, because the 356 had a roller bearing crank. Never mind, that was a Furman quad cam that had a roller bearing crank. The 356 was just prehistoric, and now they make rubbish again.
Metzger John just submitted this in Twitch chat. He looks like a guy from Rocky.
Oh, yes, he
Yeah,
does.
no,
remember?
yeah, he looks
His jawline.
Duff Lundgren. That's exactly what it looks like.
So apparently,
Dolph Lundgren,
alter
that's his
ego. Actually, around the same time.
Yeah,
Never mind.
he's just
Hans Metzger is actually Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren.
They're the same person.
Whatever.
Yeah,
End of
They are the
story.
same person. But
it's awesome. Yeah, he just
pretty neat.
he bleaches his tips and he's the bad guy from Tomorrow Never
pretends
Dies.
to be Russian.
Yeah. So, speaking of legendary racing names,
Yeah.
I want to talk about Richard Petty.
Oh,
of
God.
course
I
you
had
do.
country music twang playing in my head.
Oh, you can't say his name without a southern drawl.
Richard Petty.
So, I'm not sure if you watched the Martinsville 500.
The what?
The Martinsville 500 on
The
Sunday.
what?
Martinsville 500.
Yeah, but what
The
is
what?
it?
It's
We
a
don't-
500-mile race on the Martinsville Oval
No,
Track.
I was
in
trying to
NASCAR.
say that of course I didn't watch it because I have no idea what the hell that is.
I
Anyway,
don't think anyone does.
so Bubba Wallace, which is the token black guy in NASCAR.
Well, Bubba is Southern for brother, so
Yeah, it's true. But Bubba Wallace is racing for Richard Petty's racing team. He actually runs Richard Petty's number 43. And they
Nice.
brought out a Black Lives Matter car.
That's pretty minty.
Because previously, Bubba Wallace had been wearing BLM shirts, but Richard Petty really wanted to actually support BLM.
Well, that's cool.
And I think Richard Petty and Dale Earnhardt are they're two examples of what a Southern gentleman can be.
Sure.
Because yeah, they're conservative. They're they're what you would imagine from a Southern gentleman, but they also listen to reason.
So what you're saying is they're moderate.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
but they're
strange.
conservatively moderate. They're what a Southern gentleman should be. And Richard Petty,
Yeah,
he
you
did.
can still be a conservative and be a good person.
Yes.
You just can't be a reactionary or a radical.
Yeah,
Those are the
exactly.
two extremes.
Yeah.
And that's what everyone is these days.
Yeah, exactly, and they're not. So it's really cool to see Richard Petty, coming out in support because that's the last person that you would think. And then
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because you see him, and
Country music.
Yeah, he's a guy that looks like he's made out of a leather handbag. He's he wears a giant cowboy hat, skin tight jeans, and he's the guy who made the Dodge Daytona famous.
Yeah, he looks like Burt Reynolds in Smoking the Bandit. pretty
Seriously,
much all
he's
the time.
who Burt Reynolds wanted to be. So,
Aspired.
and the guy, I'm not even joking. He smells like cigars, leather, and cologne. That's what he.
Ron Burgundy. I
Yeah,
gotcha.
pretty
He's
much,
wearing
yeah.
Sex Panther.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he is wearing Sex Panther. But.
Oof.
But yeah, the fact that he came out in support of BLM was really cool. And then day after that, NASCAR came out against the Confederate flag being flown. They actually made it no longer allowed. And a lot of people are like, "Well, I never see that in NASCAR on TV." And it's yeah,
Probably in the stands.
well, it's in the infield.
Oh, or that.
And so what they do is they actually film from the infield, and you can't see them. So yeah, so because they're all directly below where the camera's located. So they actually aren't allowing that, which is kind of a big deal. And there was a NASCAR driver named Ray Ciccarelli, who nobody's ever heard of.
Basic Rally?
Ray Ciccarelli.
Oh, okay.
He was a NASCAR Truck Series driver, and he, in protest, abandoned NASCAR.
Oh.
One second, I'm going to pull up his racing
Hopefully he
career.
lost all
Yeah,
of his
and then there's a
sponsorship
fake
and things.
NASCAR tweet being like, "We didn't even know who you are."
Yeah, who are you?
Wait, what? Who are you?
Yeah, Ray Ciccarelli quit, and he had a racing history that I'm not even exaggerating over his 20 or 30 year career that he had. 0 wins,
Nice.
0 podiums, and one top 10 finish. in his entire career.
So he is an extra.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, he's
one
an
of those,
NPC.
Yeah, he's one of those guys like you see in the background. Like, but I mean, like, I actually have his racing history. So, all right, here we go. Races entered, 32.
You cover this. I'm going to get a beer because I just realized I don't have one.
Okay. Races entered, 32. Wins, 0. Pole positions, 0. Podiums, 0. Fastest laps, 0. Racing win percentage, 0.0%. Podium percentage, 0.0%. I actually went on NASCAR's website and confirmed this, and he literally has done nothing with his career. This dude has never seen prize money in his life.
Wow, does he know that there was actually tectonic plates around Minnesota and a volcano?
No, he doesn't know that.
I now have new fears.
But
I want to know who sponsored this guy and just wasted money.
Right?
Furthermore, the dude's not even from the South. He's from Maryland.
For Pete's sake. Although Maryland is like an ultra.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's not the South.
still-
Like, I'm sorry, if you're gonna have a racing pedigree that's that garbage, you better be from South Carolina.
I'm like,
Not even North Carolina.
you walked everywhere until age 21.
Yeah, like, there's so many great NASCAR drivers in history, and he is none of them. This guy sucks. So yeah, actually, he did NASCAR a service by quitting.
He's filler. Yeah.
I'm a little bummed that he's gone now because that means I'm slightly worse of a NASCAR driver now.
Is there a picture of Bubba Wallace in this article?
You can just Google him.
I might
think.
if I can't find him.
Yeah.
God, there's so many ads. Screw. Is that him?
No, it's Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt
That's
Jr.
actually a really cool thing that Dale Earnhardt Jr. shared, where all the NASCAR drivers are coming out in support of BLM.
I guess I'll play
Which
that
is-
then.
Yeah.
Which is so interesting that, like, you know, all these NASCAR drivers that are supposed to be like, ooh, Confederate flags, are like, nope, Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, that's Bubba Wallace right there.
Nice.
So,
God, the size of the watch on that man. It was like
it's
60
massive. Yeah.
Like
millimeters.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
huge.
It's
It's
that
rel-
scale,
relative,
but on
yeah.
a man that's probably like 6'8", 400 or something.
But yeah,
Not
so
400.
I think it's actually really cool that NASCAR is actually coming out and on the right side of history for once, because especially after what they did to like Willie T. Gibbs, where he literally was just kicked out of NASCAR in the 70s. He was going to be the first black NASCAR driver, and then all the drivers protested.
Great.
Yeah,
Thanks, NASCAR.
but that was also in 1970s.
Right.
So, you know,
They were being kicked out everywhere. in the
Yeah, so-
70s, so.
it's like NASCAR is like kind of the most backward sport, but so far
It is entertaining, though.
Yeah.
So far, NASCAR's been doing better than like the NFL, so
Yeah.
I think that's good.
Right? Like, oh, don't kneel.
I refuse
But,
to
hey,
delve into
here,
politics.
have a car.
But
Yeah.
it's...
But actually, I'm not gonna lie. I've been, because of COVID, started actually watching NASCAR because I'd played 3,000 hours of video games in 2 months.
I had tickets to go to a NASCAR race in Texas
I would've gone.
with the Myers, but COVID canceled it.
Oh man,
This was like months ago.
yeah. I NASCAR is kind of like getting back on my good side. Like I hadn't watched a full NASCAR race like since Dale Earnhardt was still alive. Until COVID happened, and then I watched one. I'm like, this is actually
And,
kind of
like,
cool.
it was actually on accident.
Yeah, I just
We
like
were just flipping through channels, and then all of a sudden a NASCAR race was on, and we got too lazy to flip even more channels, so we
That's-
just watched the entire race.
yeah, and it was actually it wasn't boring because
No.
what you do is it's like when you're watching a race, you're just watching to see who passes who. Like that's what F1 is really.
Yeah, and honestly, it's no different if they're all grouped together and going in an oval versus if you can see this much of a track
Yeah.
that actually has curves and things in
Yeah,
it.
now you can see the whole
Right,
thing.
when we were
and-
down at Daytona, like, I have no idea what's going on. I can
Yeah.
see him this much, and it looks like a NASCAR pack.
Yeah. So with NASCAR, what they've been doing is they've actually been running heats now. So instead of having
Instead
one,
of the air conditionings.
instead of having like one 500-mile like race that takes.
You're welcome for the pun, by the way.
Thank you. Instead of having one 500-mile race that takes 8 hours to complete, they'll have 3 like 180-mile races.
All done on the same day.
All done the same
That's
day.
cool.
But the reason for that is it'll tighten everybody back up because otherwise
Sure.
you end up with like
Yeah,
drivers
stragglers.
like half the pack is like 4 laps back, so they had to go like pit
And probably like
they-
DNFs.
yeah, and, like DNFs and stuff, and it's just like it's ridiculous. So yeah, they just put them all together. So that's Bubba Wallace's here. This is the most high res photo I've ever seen of Bubba Wallace.
Yeah. Well, you can see the person talking to him.
Yeah, well, hey,
interviewing him.
see if there are any Confederate flags in the background.
Ooh, lady's cute.
Yeah, there aren't any Confederate flags in the background.
Good, excellent. Also known as the Tennessee battle flag, but
yes,
you go.
That's true. But no, actually, NASCAR is pretty great. Richard Petty's wonderful. Bubba Wallace is pretty good. Oh, by the way, at the Martinsville 500, when they debuted the BLM car, he got 11th place.
Hell yeah.
Not bad. That's because his last race he was in 26th. So
that's a pretty good come up.
BLM made him faster. So thank you very much, Black Lives
The
Matter.
paint's probably lighter.
Yeah, it's lighter paint.
Yep.
A lot less layers than like.
Yeah. the fill rate's so good.
Exactly. So there you go. BLM made Bubba Wallace faster. So there you go.
Gave him
Excellent.
the motivation he needed.
Thank you, BLM, for making NASCAR faster.
Exactly. Anyway.
So I actually, speaking of the South, I just got back from the South.
Yeah,
I'm
how
gonna get
was
a beer.
that?
Do
One
it up.
second.
This was a very interesting time period to be down there.
Yeah, so right now we're recording this on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually we're at a
Usual
regular
day.
time even. The wrong weekend, but
Yeah.
either way. Dude, it's glass. Decide before you open it. Ryan is sitting in front of my gigantic glass door fridge wide open trying to decide what beer to get.
Got a Coors Banquet.
God damn it.
Like,
So anyway.
You could sit there and then look.
No, I
and-
can't. I can see about half of it.
That's
Just
fine.
8
That's
days ago, it was a Friday, and I had just finished prepping my 2001 Laguna Seca Blue M3, which had been at the body shop
Yeah,
for
it
7 months.
finally got back. It looks really
It's finally
pretty.
back. It looks amazing. I just threw a new set of tires on it. I checked it over. Did fluids on everything. Built a trailer hitch for it because nobody
Nice.
makes a hitch for an M3,
No.
which is silly.
That's ridiculous.
And Corey and I headed out, I think, at 5 or 6 p.m. Friday or something like that.
Hey, pause for 1 second. Can you convince Mark to put a trailer hitch on Jenna Jameson's Lamborghini?
No. Why?
No.
Why? Well, because every other car has a trailer hitch.
I put one on the 355 first, I think.
Well, that's your car. You just need to get Mark to put a trailer hitch on the Lambo.
I'm the utmost proponent of all cars need hitches,
Yes.
but some cars don't need hitches.
Like a Lamborghini needs a hitch.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It does. It's got all the power. It's plenty of power for towing.
Anyway, it's not the
It
problem.
doesn't drive slow enough.
Well, it's because it
Bolt
isn't.
and only blonde.
That's because it's not carrying. An RV.
Anyway,
Sorry, I derailed everything.
so about 4.5 hours down the road, it was just getting on for 9 p.m. The car loses power in cruise control. You feel it like just sort of the lash and the differential changes. You're like, uh-oh, clutch in, tack just drops to 0. I'm like, oh, for
no.
sake. Luckily, right at an exit, so we just
Oh,
peeled
good.
off with the trailer in tow, and just it'll crank. Clearly the crank position sensor's okay because the tachometer moves, but nothing. Like, okay, so Corey pulls the rear seat out of the car, crank it. You can hear the fuel pump, but it won't pop.
So what caused it?
Well, after we got a very, very kind couple stopped in a really clapped out Ford F-250 that apparently he bought new.
Oh, wow.
It had a V10 with no exhaust tick.
That's
I'm like,
shocking.
how does your V10 not have exhaust tick? I've changed the studs on it twice. I'm just like, okay, that's how.
That's why.
And he's like, he couldn't believe that this yuppie in a blue BMW on the side of the road knew about his
it.
Triton V10. I'm like, that is super cool. I haven't seen a 5.8 that doesn't tick in a long time. It's like,
That's awesome.
but anyway, this like meth head looking couple that were just, bless their hearts, super duper nice, took out this like climbing rope from the bed of their truck,
Aw.
and
Oh,
I
yeah.
wrapped it around the control arm of my car because I had no tow hook.
Yeah.
Oops.
No.
Pulled me into a parking lot, thanked them, talked for a couple
There's a-
minutes, hopped back in the unhappy man, hopped back in the car, turned the key, and it fired right up. I'm like, okay. So I think what it ended up being is the fuel pump relay for that car is in the trunk, and it's not a regular 4-pin Bosch relay where you apply power to it, it applies power to the pump. This is a pulse width modulated solid state MOSFET controlled fuel
Okay.
pump relay. So I think that got too hot.
It's like the Volkswagen has that problem too on some of their cars. So
And
yes.
it's a known thing on the M cars, and this car has almost 200,000 miles on it on the original one. So
yeah,
it made sense.
You bet your sweet ass that's a relay. Huh.
So anyway, what we did is we encouraged the airflow from the car to go into the trunk, and we cranked the air conditioning, and then we turned around and went home. Getting home at about 1 a.m. on Saturday, a week ago.
Oh, no.
We slept for 4 hours with the cats just stomping on our nuts, and then hopped in Mr. Wags with 0 prep.
Oh my god.
With the trailer in tow and headed for McKinney. Luckily, other than some coilover spring bottoming out and tire rub, the ancient tires held up just fine. The car did just
good.
fine. And we
Good.
got down there. While we were down there, we ripped apart the rear end, adjusted the coilovers all the way up in the back.
I saw you do that
which
on Facebook.
barely made any difference at all. Put a new set of tires on it because yikes. And loaded up a really, really beautiful built S54 B32
Oh, nice.
05
What's
M3
that for?
engine, the blue car. The original plan was to drive down, swap it, and then put the old engine on the trailer and drive home. But it was 103 degrees the entire time we were south of Kansas City, Missouri.
Nope.
So-
That relay will not make it.
Luckily, Mr. Wags uses a regular.
Yeah,
A regular
Mr.
fuel
Wiggs
pump.
has just always been a
Yeah,
champ.
I got a shout out to Mr. Wags. I put 120 miles on it in the year prior to this trip, and then 2,000 miles in 2 days.
That's pretty cool.
And it just didn't care.
He's
So-
just a champ, and like he's almost been totaled.
Yeah. Oh.
So, one
No
thing
fault of yours,
this is
but-
something that I think BMW and Honda people can both get behind. If you take your car on a road trip, there's certain car parts that you just have in a bag. Like Honda people, you have a main relay. If you have a D series or a B series engine, you have a spare distributor with a brand new
Stupid dizzies.
And an OEM distributor.
yeah, an OEM one with a new igniter, because the igniters are what kills them, and it's cheaper just to get a whole distributor than it is to buy 5 igniters to get one good one from AutoZone. So
We warrantied ours out at least 17 times.
yes, I always since I quit working at AutoZone, I didn't own a Honda because I didn't get that good of a discount on
He
distributors.
would go behind the desk and do the return for himself.
Nice.
Well, I'd also look
He'd
at
just be like, "Hey, can I do this? It's gonna be faster." And I
Not-
was always so uncomfortable. Like,
not only
"Keep
not only
going."
that, I also would go through and I'd find what store has the most distributors
Yeah.
Okay.
because they're all rebuilds, and I'd pop them all open and see what brand they were originally,
Oh,
and I
okay.
look for the one that said either Nippon Denso or Mitsubishi, because like Mitsubishi weirdly enough made
It wasn't Mitsubishi. It was actually
no
Mitsubishi.
Mitsubishi actually has like a heavy industry thing, and the Mitsubishi made like parts for cars just like through their Mitsubishi Heavy Industries,
Sure.
not their
Yep.
car brand, but a different part of the Zaibatsu.
Part that makes TVs.
Yeah, exactly. Parts that make that makes TVs, and they actually made really good rebuilt distributors and really good rebuilt like igniters and ignition coils and stuff. And so yeah, it's just one of those things like
It's
Honda
like an
people.
EKP on an M car. Yeah.
Exactly. Then you get the EKP and the M car. Is there what else do you like BMW people just like have on them?
A quart of 10W60.
Yeah.
You always need that. If you have an M car that takes it. But other than that, like nothing else really. That's like if it fails, you can change it out on the side of the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all like electric water pumps. Just do it ahead
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
Fuel pumps, just do them ahead of time. But also figured out the gas gauge is not reading correctly on that car. Because on the way
Oh,
back,
fun.
I had a 2-gallon strapped to the trailer because I knew I had an aftermarket Aeromotive pump in it. I'm like, it didn't seem like it was as deep in the tank as the stock one. So I'm like, I don't know when it'll run out. It might be at a quarter tank. And sure enough, quarter tank happened again. But if I clutched in, it would idle. I'm like,
It's just
okay.
low on fuel.
Really low on fuel.
Yeah.
And then got into a gas station after topping up with the 2-gallon I had with me, filled up the car and the 2-gallon exactly to where it was, and it was like over the rated capacity of the tank. So
Oh.
the fuel gauge sender is bad, not the pump being too high in the tank.
That's actually another thing Honda people probably have on them is a fuel pump.
Okay.
And if you have an EF, you have a fuel pump, and you have 10 snips. Because it's easier to just
And if
cut.
you have a yellow one, you have a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
And if you
But-
have an EF, you have to have extra clutch cables.
Oh, that's a good one. Clutch cables on early EFs. Because they will break. And maybe even a clutch assembly if you're going
Yeah.
on a long road trip. Like an entire pedal assembly.
Moral of
the
the
pedal
story,
assemblies explode. on
Don't
'em.
road trip an older Honda or
No.
a BMW M car.
Yeah,
Please don't.
It'll
Like-
either break down or get stolen.
Yeah.
Yep. Although I have to say the M5 has been great, knock on wood. I should probably change the EKP preventatively on that thing.
That's actual wood.
It is barnwood. But anyway, that's kind of the road trip. We did get back on, I think,
Sunday?
Wednesday. And the return trip was fine, other than Corey missing a turn.
What a jerk. What did he do? Where
I
did
was
he go?
sleeping,
How
and I
dare
just
you.
heard like anger brooding. It's like Waze had told him like keep right after the toll booth, so he did. And there was like a second immediately after that instruction, and Waze didn't update fast enough, so he went the wrong way on a turnpike.
Oh,
where
I've
there
done that
are
before.
no exits
Yeah.
for 22 miles. So
Been there, done that.
we were heading northeast, and we were literally headed southwest for 22 miles.
Oh no.
But anyway,
That's
it was
so bad.
fine. But man, it was pretty uneventful. Other than that, like I said, we cranked up the coils, but we had so much weight in the car, it was still rubbing on bad roads.
No cruise.
So
Oh, and the cruise control did not. I didn't think it was going to work at all because it's had a wheel speed sensor problem. Worked
there's a
the entire way
orange
down.
Smart. And a man wearing a polo getting out of it.
That is thoroughly confusing.
We're
He's,
just like
he's
staring
really
at him.
excited about that prosthetic limb tan Porsche.
We just have to investigate everyone that walks by.
So the cruise worked on the way down, which it hadn't
Yeah.
been working for years in that
Yeah.
car.
Is it an electric cruise or is it a...
It's electric, yeah.
Okay.
It's drive-by-wire, so it's had a wheel speed resolution issue in the rear right. I've documented it. It's been broken. So I ordered a wheel speed sensor prime to Brandon's house in Texas,
Nice.
and I'd planned to change it out, but just ran out of time. On the way back, didn't work at all until we got to I think Kansas City when I unplugged the automatic trip logger. And once I had done that
He was like Doug DeMuro.
and restarted the car, the cruise worked fine. So
Nice.
That's awesome. That guy looks like Doug DeMuro.
I don't know what the hell he's doing or where
He was really excited about that prosthetic limb tan Porsche.
I guess.
But so speaking of BMWs and road tripping, and my commute to work is now a road trip because I have to drive from St. Louis Park to Egan now.
St. Jewish Park.
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw a Bengal 7 Series that wasn't burning oil. It was just shocking.
It must have just been service.
It must have been, yeah. But then as soon as I got home, I was making a poo, and I was on Facebook as one does, and I found the best way to have the look of a Bengal and the reliability of quite literally any other car on earth.
Okay.
Somebody took, and it's this donk group I'm in because I actually like donks. Fight me. It was a
don't
W
think I
body
know.
Impala, right? Where somebody gaffed it on a Bengal front end, and I said, "This is the best of both worlds. It's a Bengal that will actually make it over 200,000 miles without having catastrophic engine oil."
Well, I mean, keep in mind, Mr. Wags is Bengal.
Well, you know what I mean, Bengal 7 Series.
Yes.
The awful one.
In Europe, they got reliable engines. Here, we didn't.
Yeah, well, the V8.
Yeah, that's all we got here was the V8. Well, and the V12.
So, speaking of reliable, Mazda is very reliable. And Mazda is making a new Mazda Speed 3.
Hey!
Kind of. It's automatic.
Is it going to do... Is it
But-
going to do zoom, zoom, boom things?
Yes,
Okay.
quite good. It is all-wheel drive as well, which is going to be really cool. That's why it's automatic, because they're kind of just working with what they have. That's how Mazda operates.
Well, at least they're giving us a inline 6 Mazda 6 rear-wheel drive,
Yes.
which better have a damn manual in it.
To be honest, at this point in time with Japanese hot hatches, I'm really grasping at straws. So, you know what? Just give me the automatic. It's better than nothing. It's not going to be what it should be. It absolutely should be a manual, but whatever. I'm not going to cry that much. Because at the end of the day, it's a beautiful looking car.
The transmissions are pretty interchangeable, right?
Yeah,
I'm
Mazda's,
sure it's still the architecture from, like, the RS.
Mazda's pretty good about making things as simple as possible because they don't have a corporate overlord that gives them money to make cars.
What engine's in this?
This would be the CX-5 engine.
So 2.5?
The turbo, yeah.
Okay, so they probably don't have a manual for that yet. That's a different architecture block than the older 2.0s and 2.3s.
Well, they have
right?
a two-wheel drive manual.
Okay, with the 2.5.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, you can get a two-wheel drive manual CX-5.
I do wonder if they're going to engineer a solution for that.
I'm sure they will.
It's got to be pretty similar to the Focus RS.
I think honestly what they're doing right now is they're bringing this out so it can exist and it can go up against the new Corolla Turbo, and then they're gonna probably make a manual later on because that's not really Mazda's MO to not make a manual.
Right.
Mazda's whole MO is for driving enjoyment.
Right,
so.
and just like the F-Type and all that kind of stuff, like we got them auto first, and then enough people were like
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah, and Mazda's got enough. Mazda isn't really run by bean counters right now. They actually have smart people with brains. So
I
the-
have to thank Dr. Seuss for teaching me what a bean counter is. Just saying. I didn't know that until I watched the Green Eggs and Hams on Netflix.
And I have to thank Dr. Seuss for teaching me alliteration.
that's very true.
Yeah. Go Dr. Seuss.
But no, I thought this would be kind of cool. That
It is a lovely car.
Yeah, it's a beautiful looking car. Now they're actually making it good, so that's great. And also doesn't have a hood scoop, which I think is kind of cool. Like you can't really tell
Must
the
have a
normal
front
one.
mount then.
Yeah, it does. But I like how you can't really tell that it's turbo.
Right.
So like, if you want to be a cheeky yabo, you can get the Toyota. And then if you want to be, like an understated, if you previously
You
owned
have
an
to
M3,
go to social functions with a family. you can get this.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's funny because it used to be the other way around. Because Mazda made the Mazda Speed 3, which is like the Yabo car, and then you could get a Corolla XRS, which looks like mom's car.
Toyota had zero interesting product for a decade. So now they're like rubber banding, and GR is like, whee!
I would say 15 years.
Okay, yeah.
Almost 20.
Because, I mean, yeah, what, 05 was the last year of the MR2 Spider.
Okay, was it 05? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so that'd be about it. So it was about 15 years.
Yeah, I can't think of anything in the interim that was fun.
You could get a Yaris with a supercharger.
You could?
Yeah.
Oh.
Man.
You could, they made the one in ZFE, the Yaris engine,
Yep.
they made a supercharger for it that you could buy through Scion.
Okay, yeah, the TRD supercharger. I mean, you get that for the 2AZ as well for like a TC. But.
Yeah, so you could get the TRD superchargers. Like TRD was fun, like they sold their like sports corner, but like they didn't like the company itself didn't make anything great.
I have to almost exclude small cars.
Yeah.
Because those things are just usually fun.
It's very difficult to make a small car not fun.
God, sorry, I just had a flashback to like somewhere on this road trip there was a Mirage that was driving. It had Street Fleet decals on it. And it was like going quickly.
Wow.
No, it wasn't on the trip. I was in the 124 yesterday.
Oh, okay.
And this dude I was in Roseville in the 124, and this guy was just like, they had like the hazards on driving down the road, and I like went to pass him, and he like downshifted and floored it. I'm just like, I'm still gonna get way past.
Was there
you,
a giant bald Asian guy in it? Was it Kua?
I don't look at people. No, it
I
had
don't
Street
either.
Fleet
I
decals
find
on it. But anyway, it was a
really
Mirage
awkward to look
being driven in anger, and I'm just like chuckling the whole time.
Yeah.
That guy's having the most fun in the world.
So much fun.
I said to Janet yesterday, I saw a guy driving a Porsche Macan that was like a really pretty blue. It was like
It was with you.
Yeah, it was like Laguna Seca. I said to you, this is the least happy person in the most fun colored car.
Yeah.
But then like, there's like some guy in a Mirage just like flies past. I'm like, this guy's having a blast, and like
And he bought it off the lot, so it's white.
yeah, exactly. So like, he doesn't care. He just loves his life.
I remember driving Kua's car. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just smiles for miles, absolutely.
All right, so let's move on from
Alrighty,
Mazda.
fair enough. Other Ford architecture vehicles, ones that are less good.
The ones that Ford actually sells.
Yeah, and it's actually something that Ford's been making for about 10 years, which is not a car per se,
but
it is a companion to the 5-liter Coyote engine.
The thing that makes it good, a manual transmission or something?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's the manual. So this is like the one Ford Mustang that they've made with a manual that doesn't use a Tremec transmission. It
Yeah.
uses an in-house built Ford 6-speed manual.
That's terrifying.
And it has had widespread second gear synchro issues, like big time issues on like brand new
that's
cars
why-
since it was conceived.
Yeah, that's why MAP had an automatic for. Well,
No.
they started with a
EcoBoost.
manual.
They started with a manual EcoBoost, but
Yeah.
it was the same transmission that was in this.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they moved to the automatic.
Because
Also,
it blew up 3 times.
this has my Mazda 5 is a Ford with manual, Ford built manual, and yeah, second gear fucking flies apart. Even my new one's crunchy.
I cannot believe it took 10 years for owners to get enough momentum with failed transmissions. It's almost like
This is the
power
thing.
shift.
Well, no, this is the thing is, Ford actively, like, they fight trying to do anything, whereas like Hyundai and Kia, like, so working at Honest One now, just so I can have like money to like afford a house. I have a lot of people coming through with Hyundais and Kias with turbocharger issues, and Hyundai and Kia will actually they warranty out cars when they're outside their warranty period. Just because they're trying to have good customer service. Like, we don't care. Ford, on the other hand, they don't care about their customer service. It is a widget. And yeah, of course they're gonna fight everyone, and they're gonna try to save their bottom line because Ford doesn't care about their consumers.
It's as evidenced by the power shift dilemma.
Yeah, the power shift and this, like, they can't make a transmission. They don't care about you.
I'm kind of surprised that they haven't had any action yet on the newer V6, the dual overhead cam V6 water pumps.
Or their timing chains.
Well, the one and the same, essentially.
yeah.
It's a timing chain driven water pump.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's in the base of the V. The
Oh.
labor on that is
It's a nightmare.
it's BMW V8 cylinder head bad. Like it's
Oh yeah.
and all the cop cars and Explorers and shit have
Yeah.
these. I'm like,
I was so glad to see
oh, I see.
one of my parents go from an Explorer to a Jeep, and I was like, not the right move, but a better move.
It's better. I mean, the Pentastar V6 is known for having its own issues, but
Yeah, it was co-developed by Mercedes, so it's pretty good. And only the earlier ones really had the
Yeah.
valve seat problem, and that was only in the heavier vehicles, like
Yeah.
the Challengers and the vans.
they have they also do have timing chain issues now. they've been discovering. Like
Of
every
course
car.
they do,
Every
because
car.
they run tap water for engine oil, and plastic doesn't like that.
Yeah, and they also give you like a 15,000-mile oil change and roll.
Yep.
So by the time you pull out your oil, it's just pure acid.
Never pull out. That's the manufacturer recommendation. See what I did there? That's pretty good.
I like it.
Anyway, engines are better engineered right now than they ever have been, but they are so let down by CAFE. And I hate saying that because, like, CAFE is a good thing, I think. Like,
it is a good thing
helps
for the world. Yeah.
CO2 emission and MPG standards are things that Trump's trying to pull back and everything. But you cannot include oil change consumables in your carbon footprint. You just can't.
No, that's
Because it is ruining the engine. And do you know
Well,
how
and
much
if
more
you-
carbon it takes to make a new engine,
Yeah.
ship it somewhere, install it, dispose of the old one?
I think furthermore, you're also considering with these, even if it doesn't kill the engine, when you are within that like last couple of thousand miles, you're not getting anywhere near the fuel economy that you were getting for those first 5,000 miles.
Right.
And like cars are just not lasting as long as they used to, and that's
And
like,
there's no
It's
reason
be-
for that
it's
except
because of
for
that, yeah.
the service interval and the fluids.
Yeah.
And then that's just more wasteful because the cars are bigger now too and less recyclable.
Well,
Engines
also-
are turning into single-use plastic.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
Like they die before you have to do valve covers on them
Yeah.
now these days. Like
That's
it's like
true.
you never have to open an engine because it'll be destroyed.
I
by
feel
the time.
like one of those
so
old
sad.
boomers. They're like, modern cars aren't as good as they used to be.
I-
Give me a flathead Ford. Like,
Oh, please do. And
yeah, I do want a flathead Ford, but I'm not fooling myself. It's reliable or
No.
good in any way.
and I'll probably end up selling my 36 before I do that because I need space for other things. My
Well,
options.
I'm still gonna buy something with a flathead just because I enjoy it. It will not be in a BMW. It will be in
It'll
something
be a
American.
project that happens eventually.
And like I'm not gonna sell the 36 until I have to.
Yeah.
So hopefully it happens before that. But man, like the thing with this red IS, like that's turning into such a nice car. I'm like I don't want to sell that, but I also don't want to sell Brexit. And then I've got to deal with Scott's Mercedes. Anyway, this is a tangent I don't need to cover right now. But too
This
many
is-
cars.
This is a first world problem.
It is.
is.
I have these two luxury garages. Don't have enough room for these cars I have. You see.
We have this one be the pretty one, and you just have the other one down the way. You can just have that be like your closet.
Pretty much what it is.
It's just a closet full of cars
And it's full.
already.
And my parents are remodeling, so one of the parking spots is just full of like dressers and things right now.
God.
Like, it's perfect because it's a storage unit. That's
Yeah,
what it's for.
I do
It's
have
a very
to
expensive storage unit.
promote the
bad.
Toyota Sienna, second gen,
Yeah.
for hauling Art Deco furniture.
Oh yes.
Oh yeah, we found some really dope art
Yeah,
Deco
so,
furniture.
like,
I saw at
In
least
the-
one of them.
In the Sienna, I've carried my first Art Deco find, which was an Art Deco vanity with vanity stool, all original, that I got for like $350, and I was very concerned about it fitting in my car. It fit in perfectly. And then I got a chifforobe, which is a terrible word.
It is a
but an
terrible
awesome
word.
piece of furniture.
I just think of racism when I hear chifforobe.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Like it's a word that came from the South.
And for people
that
who
is a
don't
word
know
that
what it is-
exists in antebellum. Yeah.
For it's an old piece of furniture that is half wardrobe and half chest of drawers.
Yeah.
And then my Art Deco chair. And then the other day we were driving in the Mazda and we were driving through my neighborhood.
My graphics coworker is nursing a chub right now hearing
Yeah.
about all this Art Deco.
And we found a 75% complete Art Deco
Bed set.
a bedroom set
Yeah, it's
on
really
the
great.
road for free. And it was a little beat up, but Ryan's like, "I'm getting your car," and I was like, "Where are we gonna put it?" And he's like, "I don't care."
Don't
just-
you worry about
yeah.
blank.
And so
We're
he
gonna
brought
get
the
it. We'll
Sienna,
figure that out later.
and I was like, "I don't know how this is gonna fit in," and it fit in beautifully. Like,
Yeah, I was able to feng shui that super easily.
and I still have room for all the recycling that I need to
I
bring
like
to the
playing car
recycling
Tetris.
plant. Yeah.
It's basically what it was. Is car Tetris where I'm just potentially breaking something worth a lot of money.
Yeah. But just my Sienna's never failed me, and anybody that tells me that I need a truck,
Nope.
I can give them the middle finger because my Sienna is perfect.
There's
And had
actually
it not been for incorrect oils and service intervals,
Yeah,
it would
lasts
be in
forever.
perfect condition.
Yeah.
so actually, speaking of trucks, in van culture, there's been a lot of people abandoning pickup trucks for minivans, like when they have kids, and then they're like,
Good.
"Why did I own a truck?" And
I
it's
wanna
like you can get an
say-
all-wheel drive Sienna, like that's a truck.
I do have
it's
to say
so
my
much
dad's
faster.
done that several times where he's gone between, trucks and minivans, and just for him, like as his work entails, a truck is better suited for him.
But he still wants
vans
it.
work
Yeah.
just as well. If he didn't have to do so much like actual maintenance, like retiling floors and all that, where he actually needs to put supplies in his truck.
I think if the Ford Transit came with something other than an EcoBoost V6, like that'd be a perfect.
But he
vehicle
also
for
needs
him.
a family vehicle, and that's why he settled on
in
the
this country.
Ridgeline. But if you don't need a family vehicle and you can leave all the seats out of your van all the time, like I do.
I know what he should buy.
What should he buy, Ryan?
He should buy a Nissan NV 1500. The Nissan
the
panel
body on
truck.
frame, yeah.
That's what your dad
Well,
needs.
now he's in-
VK56.
Now, as he's reaching older in age, he's a grandfather now. He likes comfortability, and the Ridgeline gives him that.
You should buy a
He
Roadmaster.
hated the Nissan.
Yeah, if you're... Yeah, I'm not going to ever make a case for a truck. What am I saying?
No.
People get so ass mad when I say that there's no reason to own a pickup. Like,
That's
if
true.
you got to haul stuff, I'm like, you buy a trailer.
Yeah.
You buy a van.
Or a van. Well, yeah, but like the trailer's a great alternative because like you can't even use like the cleanliness or like the seats argument.
Well, no, not even that. All right, you need a truck. You want an LS. All right, you have a Silverado. We can get a Chevy Express 2500 for half the price of a Silverado. It carries just as much stuff, has a higher towing capacity, has a 4L80 instead of a 4L60, has a 6-liter in it. Like, there's no reason not to.
Just tell me you want a truck.
Yeah,
Then I'll be
Yeah,
happy.
just say I want a truck. You don't
That's
need
the
a
only-
truck.
That's like the Jim Jeffries skit about guns. Like
Yeah.
the only argument I'll accept for you wanting a gun is fuck you, I like guns.
Yeah, that's fine. Like, that's
Tell me
totally
that,
okay.
I'll be like,
Well,
okay, cool.
actually, that is totally irrelevant because I learned that you do, in fact, need a gun in America today. But that's politics. I'm not talking about that.
I still don't use mine ever.
No, you don't. You don't use it, but it's better to have it and not need it. So, anyway,
I like it.
yeah, I like having a gun.
I like carrying it in my Tesla. As I
That's
charge
fun.
with solar energy
That is
and support
fun.
gay, lesbian rights and Black Lives Matter.
I love that.
See, that's what I was like joking about with like some friends. I'm like honestly, I think that Boogaloo might have an okay idea because all they're trying to do is just support people's rights, and like all they want is like transgendered like gay couples to protect their marijuana crops with their like minigun. Like that's all they want.
Yeah.
Like,
You know how badass that scene would be?
like that'd be great. Like I love that idea. Like
And that's like, I think, honestly, that's the most American thing that could ever happen.
yeah, and that's honestly like that's what I support. Is like I want like people just to be able to protect
and
themselves.
we want them to have their trucks just because they
Yeah,
like them.
sure.
If you want your truck, have your truck.
Yeah, if you want
Just-
to drive a 7-liter V10 truck alone at 90 miles an hour, I don't care. It's just fine.
Just don't lie to me. Just
fuck
say
off.
you want it.
Don't tell me you need it and drive through Uptown.
It's just one of those things. I'd rather you don't lie to me. Like if you, it's like if you ask somebody to hang out and they give you an excuse, it's like, dude, if you don't want to hang out, just say it.
Yep.
You know, it's
And like-
I'm not gonna get mad.
No. Oh, all right then.
Okay, there you go, done. You
then
don't
see
like
you
it. That's
later.
not your thing.
But a lot of people are so bad, especially in Minnesota, at saying no.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
awful. Yeah, right. Yeah.
All right then.
I'm like, all right, here, just take your
Well, and,
comments,
like,
enjoy it.
What I really enjoyed when I was driving through Mexico, I didn't see that many trucks, and most of those people work on farms. Like, because I didn't stay in touristy parts. I stayed in like rural parts where there was a lot of farming and stuff, and they all had hatchbacks.
There's actually a few farms
'Cause it's
that
good.
are between here and Stillwater. They're Hmong owned, and
that's awesome.
you can actually tell because they have vans.
Yeah.
Because like vans are better, like they just are. And it's like if you take the seats out of a Sienna, what it does is it provides all the utility of a truck. You have all-wheel drive, so you're not going to get stuck.
And they're way cheaper.
They're way cheaper, and nobody's going to steal your crap out of it.
Yeah.
Like that's a perfect idea. And if like your one problem with a Chevy Express van is that you look like a rapist, well, now you
Just
don't.
paint
You-
free candy on it.
You,
It's fine.
if you have a Sienna, you don't look like a rapist. You look like somebody going to soccer
You see
practice.
a Sienna, and we're like, I'm not breaking into that. It's got car seats and Cheetos stuffed into the carpet.
It's gonna
And
smell
it's-
really awful.
Yeah, it smells like melted crayons
Like,
and
this is-
mildew.
Ah, like a brand new Mark IV Volkswagen.
Yeah, like it's like nobody
most thing
steals vans because they're gonna be like, I'm gonna steal this, and then I have to smell it. Like
Yeah,
you don't
it's-
want
The
to.
moment
My
a
van
manufacturer
smells so
puts one
bad.
of their corporate twin turbo V6s into it, it's all done.
It's very true. yeah.
Everyone's
Yeah.
just gonna be buying minivans. like,
Seriously.
hey, you want to go in your Charger Scat Pack?
Well, yeah, seriously.
As Greg in his Sienna just dusts the thing.
You don't even need a twin turbo V6. Like,
well,
cause
even the 2GR is fast,
Yeah.
but like once they start putting like with the torque and they're gonna be ridiculous.
so I had some friends that went out to Wisconsin for their bachelor party, and their thing that they did is two of them worked at different performance shops.
Okay.
One of them got a dry shot of nitrous that they had in stock and refilled the bottle. And the other one took a Cobb Access Port that they had in stock. And then they rented, because they had like 6 people with them, they rented a Ford Transit. So they
Bird likes that.
They put a very long hose from the inside of the car. They didn't even like tune it or anything. It's just a guy sitting there with a bottle and the knob. And he just turned on the nitrous and turned it off. And then there's the
Hopefully
other
only
guy
at like wide open throttle
Yes.
above certain RPMs, because
And
otherwise EFI does not like that.
And then they had the Cobb Access Port tuned for nitrous.
Okay, all right.
And then they went to Wisconsin and they street raced everybody and won everything with a car full of people. Vans are inherently better. Like, they're the best thing ever.
We go on this tangent a lot.
Yeah, Vans are the best thing.
I do like being next to a modern transit at lights. And like it's like the Escape thing where you can hear the turbo start to spool. It's like
It's the best.
Is this how you can tell we're getting older? We're like, Vans!
No,
Vans have always
I've
been cool.
always been about Vans. Like, when me and Erik like first like met, I was like petitioning my parents to let me get a boogie van, so I could like paint a mural of like an ethereal goat and some
You
boobs.
still
my
are.
family even
Yeah.
owned a van at the time.
Yeah.
And like my grandfather always owned vans. Like
Yeah,
he
they're
was
the
in the
best
old
thing ever.
Dustbusters, and like when
Yeah.
he died he had a silhouette. Like just like
Yes.
it's trash, but like it's very practical.
There's actually you saw that manual silhouette that was for sale on, or it was a manual transport diesel that was on Bring a
I
Trailer.
did see that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I want to talk about just got to move past these vans because we're going to be on this tangent for the rest of the episode.
Yep.
I want to talk about the alternatives to cars with drift tax, because we talked
Okay.
about this a while
yeah.
back. It's not necessarily a car for drifting, but it's like, I really want an A86, and it's
Impossible.
so hard to justify owning an A86.
And it's because you want a nice little Corolla.
Like, seriously, like, I want a rear-wheel drive, fun-to-drive Toyota Corolla. And so what I want to go through here is some of the cars have been hit hardest by drift tax and talk about what we would say are really good alternatives to them. So my first alternative, I'm going to start with the A86. Why would you spend $15,000 on an A86 when you can spend $5,000 and get the world's nicest E70 Corolla? That is,
I'm gonna have to pull this up.
so the E70 Corolla mechanically is a base model A86. They were rear-wheel drive only. They're the super boxy early 80s Corollas. They look great when you modify them. You can get them in a hatchback. You can get them in a fastback. You can get them in a coupe, a sedan, or a wagon. You got the lowest resolution photo of one
That's
that
fine.
you could find. And
This
it's
was
in brown,
taken
of
when it
course.
was brand new.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like, they're really cool cars, and you can actually make them look really good. If you like, when you type in E70 Corolla, you
But I
get
like
a bunch
that
of pictures of
brown.
modified
I think
ones.
it's nice. It fits the car.
It fits the era too.
Of the era, absolutely. But yeah, the fact that it's rear wheel drive, absolutely.
And honestly, like, I've driven like a base model A86 and I've driven a base model E70 Corolla, and honestly, I can't say that the base model A86 is double the value of of this car. Like, it's just not worth it. Honestly, I've driven a GTS
You
A86.
could stuff a 4A in that just as easily.
Yeah,
So.
I've driven exactly from MR2, which is also like super cheap.
Mm-hmm.
But I've driven a GTS A86, which is in like kind of funky condition, but I've also driven funky E70s, and again, the A86 is better, but it's not 3 times better.
Right.
It's like a little bit better. So another
It's not an order of magnitude.
exactly another car that what would you tell
So
somebody?
when I actually went through the notes here, I put in a bunch of cars, and
Yeah, I
you've
saw
kind
that,
of put in
yeah.
alternatives, which that's totally fair. I think the first one I put down,
You said the E30.
well,
Well, what would
yeah.
you say in as opposed to A86? Something that's a light, fun rear-wheel drive car that's cheap. And
That's
like,
tough because like if you want JDM, you want JDM. If you want old, you want old.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, I'd say
there's just not that much rear wheel drive
something
stuff
something that's in the
peanut butter.
ballpark of like an A86, something that's cheaper than it, and it could be more expensive than
Honestly,
like an E70.
probably a
but
Cressida.
Cressidas are
They're
really
heavy,
really
but like
good.
they come with a big engine that you can make power with if you try.
That's true.
So I would probably go that way. And like you're just gonna put a 1UZ and a R154 in it anyway, so like, it doesn't matter.
Well, even then, ooh,
That
What's
was a
so
nice
fast?
first gen SL.
yeah, that was really cool. I imagine it's a 190 SL.
It was, yeah.
But I think that Cressida is a really good option, especially when you get the earlier ones. Because the earlier ones weren't heavy at all.
Right, yeah, they were much smaller cars in the first gen.
So that'd be a very good
for us anyway.
Yeah, that'd be a very good option.
But yeah, the car that it's not as much now because they're so expensive, but E30s, like 4 or 5 years ago, Drifter started picking those up.
How much can you get like a like E30 for? Like
That's not even an M3.
People that are
just a
buying
plain
the drift
E30.
cars, yeah, they're gonna buy the 325E, the efficiency one,
Yeah.
or a 318. So you can get one of those that's no frills in like running driving condition for $3 or $3.5 grand still, which is pretty good.
That's about on par for like what a really good E70 is.
Yeah.
And I think that you could actually justify that difference in price because the E70 is a really good car. But like when you get to the E30, like a kind of beat up E30 versus an E70, I would say that's a fair comparison for value for that same price range.
And even the 325E, if you try hard enough, you put garbage enough tires on it, you can drift it. It's the factory LSD and all that kind of stuff, and they last forever.
Well, even if you're not drifting, like you still get the E30 experience on a budget.
They're so much fun.
Yeah, you can still have a really good car. It's not like it's like in a Civic like EX and SI. You're still getting a good car.
Yeah,
it's just you're not getting the full boat.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
I daily drove one of these for 2 years. It was great.
Yeah. But what would you say as opposed to E30? Because for an E30,
E36 is what I would normally have said, but now all the bad ones of those are pretty much gone.
Yeah, you can't get an E36.
So no, those are
because
expensive.
they were drift taxed.
Exactly. So then I migrate to E46 because those are still free.
You know, you missed one very good car.
What?
The 190 manual. If you could find one.
If you can find one, yeah, but those cost more than good E30s now.
Really?
Manual
Jesus
ones?
Christ.
Absolutely. You cannot get a manual 190 in like any kind of condition for less than that.
Can you get? Well, I mean, you can get automatic 190 though.
Yeah, you can get tons of those.
Yeah, so I would.
You'd probably be better off saying 300E because those all had the 6-cylinder.
That's a very good
the
point.
bigger one.
Yeah.
And the very similar platform.
You could probably maybe go a little bit older too. What about the what's the the E21? Was that the pre E30?
Yeah, those are terrible though.
Okay, really?
All like 100 horse 4-cylinders and no LSD, and like the drivetrains are made out of glass.
Yeah, no, you don't want that.
No, if you're gonna do an older BMW like an E28 or E28 would be
E28
fine.
would be a good one. Yeah, and those aren't.
They're cheap, but they're not that light.
But I mean, you still
get the big 6-cylinder in them.
But that's the thing is, if you get what was that, the E28?
Yep.
If you get an E28 and you get the right spec one, you're gonna get one that's a really good Mercedes.
So cute.
But if you get that E28, you're gonna get most of the experience of an E30. It's
a lot of the parts are similar.
Yeah, it's like buying instead of buying a Supra, you buy a Cressida, or instead of buying an A86, you buy a E70. It's still you're still gonna have that same feeling coming to mind. So
and
that's
the longer
really
wheelbase, if you have enough power, is probably even better for drifting.
Well, and for non-drifting, like you're fine. Like
very comfortable
Yeah,
cars.
it's such a good car. I've been in those, and I love them.
I drove an E28 for a year. It was great.
Yeah. Well, let's go to the big elephant in the room of drift tax. The S13, the S14.
Yep.
Those are just like
gone.
Yeah, they were gone.
Wrong.
They're all beat. It's impossible to find one. At this point, you're honestly better off.
What happened to my internet? The recording's still going, which is fine, but our Twitch stream, I think, is offline.
Corey, are we still on Twitch?
Got a loading spinning circle. Yeah.
Oh, give us a moment.
Yep. Switch to the Motorplex.
Give us a moment.
Fuck this internet, man.
So did you know that S13s and S40s drift better than A86s because they actually have a multi-link suspension in the rear as opposed to a McPherson strut? And the McPherson strut actively changes all the geometry of the suspension while it turns, so it's harder to drift.
Yeah.
The more you know.
That's the thing. Like a couple of manufacturers did like double wishbone and multi-link way early.
And that's the thing is that's what makes the S13, the S14 so difficult to replace is the fact that you're trying to get something like that.
And you're not gonna. I mean, an equivalent replacement or whatever is a lot different than the same level of car. I mean, there's a reason why these chassis.
There we go. Now we're on the internet again.
I'm on the same network too.
That's
all
right.
Sorry, Twitch. We're back everywhere.
That's what my computer does to me all the time.
But anyway, so trying to replace the S13, S14, you're gonna have a hell of a time finding something that's got that multi-link rear end.
Especially with how light those are. It makes no sense how light they are.
Yeah, you're pretty much screwed. So really, you want to find something that gives you the same feel. It might not be a perfect equivalence, but something that gives you the same feel. And I would say I'd actually give the GT86 and the BRZ fighting chance, especially an older one.
Yeah, if you can get one of the first years, I mean, those are maybe $9,000 cars now.
Yeah, you can get those. I mean, you have to risk that engine, but I mean, at the same time.
Yeah, as long as that front timing case.
Yeah, and it's not as good as the KA, which is absolutely bulletproof. But I mean, at this point in time,
yeah, some pretty hood stuff has been done to KAs, and they seem to handle it.
At the same time, KAs are actually getting harder to find legitimately really good ones
because it's even like the BMW M20, like the engine that people took out of the E30s to put in the big ones.
Yeah,
or like Chump Car just ate through all of them.
Yeah, there's none left.
They're gone. Like there's even I threw one on the scrap trailer outside. I'm like, it ran fine, but like it's toast. So the one I threw together in the basement is like, that's actually an expensive engine now.
But I think actually the GT86 BRZ,
it's a good car. They drive really nice.
It's a really good car. You're gonna have the same smile on your face driving that as you would have in a 240.
And when you blow up the FA, you can throw a K-Series in and call it good.
Yeah, or even a EJ or another FB or anything. You can put whatever you want in it. So it's a longitudinal engine, so anything fits.
Yeah, people have even put Barras and 2Js in those, so it's like...
It's got the same mounts that the EJs had.
The hood clearance is a problem for some engines.
Just take the hood off.
It's fine. That's why I say K-Series, because it fits.
That does fit. That's a good point.
And they don't break.
If it fits, it sits.
So then what, instead of buying a 350Z or a G35, because on top of usually being beat to hell, they kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What would you tell somebody that's in that market but they can't find a good one? What would you tell them to get?
No, the E46 330.
That's actually what I said as well. Is the E46 of any sort.
The 330. If you're looking at a 350Z, you are expecting it to make 250 horsepower ish.
Yeah.
And most E46s don't. Like if you're trying to drift a 323 or a 325, just don't.
Well,
bother.
it's not drifting. It's you're trying to get a car for the same enjoyment.
Then 330 CI, and it's going to be a way better experience for less money.
And you can get a 330 sedan or a E46 sedan of any sort will be just as good as a G35.
Yeah, if you're willing to travel for it, you can still pick up a nice one.
Yeah,
coupe or sedan for $3.
I would say the BMW instead of a Lexus. And the reason I'm saying that is that the Lexus you're gonna probably be finding just as much trouble finding a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And
depends on the model, but I mean, like if you're looking at something like an IS300,
that's what I was thinking.
First gen, they're solid cars, but they're
just so much older now.
They have their own list of issues.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like
it's hard to, like even a stock one, it's hard to find for that cheap.
Yeah, it's true, and I think that's why I'd say the E46 because like the Lexus IS300, you have the 2J engine in it, but it's just like.
And I want to do an honorable mention honestly for the E90. That's up and coming, but like you can. I mean, they're all the 3-liter engines, so if you're willing to do a little bit of tune and manifold work, like a 325 or a 330 will make 270 horsepower.
That's very fair to say the E90 because I actually totally forgot about that when I said the E46.
And they're getting cheap, so I mean it's just the natural progression. E36s had their day. E46s are kind of they're being milked hard right now, and E90s are coming.
And with the G35s, that's kind of that car that's in that $3,000 price range, and that 2J is never going to allow a okay condition IS300 to hit that price range. You can get an IS350, but at that point, to get one in that price range.
Car, no LSD.
Yeah, and then to get in that price range of the G35, you're going to be getting an IS250, and it's going to be pretty beat. So it's just
those make like less than 200 horsepower.
Yeah, it's going to suck. So you don't really want that.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, as I say, speaking of the E46s, E36s coming up in value.
Yep. the IS300 is the logical alternative for those.
Yeah, I would say that.
It costs more.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. Not really more. I mean, IS300 is about $10,000 to get a good like higher trim level. E46, E36, you're in that price range of the IS300.
Are people willing to spend $10,000 on a drift car though?
We're not talking about drift cars. We're talking about cars that are used for drifting that people just want, like a good enthusiast car.
Yeah, you're talking a really even like a ZHP 330. You're not going to be cresting $10,000.
On Bringer Trail, you are.
Not one with miles.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you could always say like that. Oh, add a ton of miles to it. But I mean, to get something
even reasonable, like you're probably looking at maybe 130,000 mile 330
what
ZHP.
Kind of price range are you looking at there?
6.5, 7.
That's
Even
that's the
E36
bottom end.
M3s are there still.
That's the bottom end of IS 300s.
I know, but that's a pretty nice one.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you can get that would be a much better car.
And that bottom end IS is going to be an auto.
That's true. That's very true. And that's something you really have to think about.
You do not want that.
No. So what would you say? Would you say the E90 then for that?
I think the E90 is the up and coming play.
I think that
Because
E90
they're
would be
cheap,
pretty
and
good.
those engines actually make really good power.
Yeah, and I really want those IS 350s to just come down in price a little bit because they're pretty good. They are heavier. Yes, they don't have a limited slip, but
But neither does an E90.
Yeah, and you can also get an aftermarket limited slip for that, and you'll be fine.
It's a TGR, so it won't break.
Yeah, I think that'd be a very good car to get.
I think so too.
So this is kind of a weird one I threw in here. Ford Fox body.
Like
Like a Fox body
like
Mustang.
a Mustang?
Fox
Okay.
body Mustang.
Because, I mean, we see a lot of Thunderbirds and stuff like that.
That's
being
true.
driven, too.
So the Fox body Mustang, I would say that's kind of getting hit for people doing track cars, for people that are trying to do cheap drift cars, for people that want drag cars, that people that are looking for collectors, because like the ones that are like going up really high are the late model Aero headlights, the 86 specifically, four eyes with the fuel injection.
Yep.
Then you get some of the unique ones like the SVOs, and then like the bubble back Capris and stuff like that.
I think a good alternative is a third-gen GM. Like
Third-gen Camaro.
Or Firebird or something.
Transmero Bird.
Get one with the Iron Puke or the V6. They're worth nothing.
Yeah.
It's the same chassis. So just swap out the axle on an engine, you're good.
Yeah, and then you can't even put an
And
LS into it.
They're cheap. Yeah. You just weigh the Jegs catalog at it. For $600, you got a 400 horsepower drift missile.
I actually got a weird one that I came up with.
Okay.
Ford Fairmont. Look it up.
That's essentially just a Fox body. That
You're
is a
right,
Fox
it is
body.
a Fox body, but nobody thinks about the Fairmont. And if you
RCR did a video on this, and they're starting to go up in value.
So this is the thing, the Ford Fairmont,
And it's
actually,
really ugly.
when
I
you
love pulling
go
it up.
to like 8th Mile, like drag strips and stuff, these Ford Fairmonts are like filling the roster of what people are racing.
Because the parts fit, and they're cheap, and they have a longer wheelbase.
Yeah, they are way better drag cars. This is basically a super Fox body, and it looks totally unassuming. Like,
It looks like a grandma's car.
you're absolutely right,
'Cause
because
it
it was
is.
a grandma's car, but it was based off the Fox body chassis, so all the Fox body stuff fits on a Fairmont. I would totally take a Fairmont over most
I
third
kind of
gens.
like it because it's just so plain and ugly.
Yeah, and they even made a coupe, which I like the coupe more, but
No,
yeah,
it's gotta be just
the plain
plain AF, like-
grandma
Trash
car.
I just
Yeah.
imagine like a 94 IRS, like really built 302 in one of these.
That'd be really hilarious, like Matt Farrow's like 300 horsepower
Yeah,
Fox
just
body.
put it in there with no tire on it.
I would just put a junkyard LS into it and
Well,
call
yeah,
it a day.
That's the smart move.
Yeah, just go find a Express 250 or a short bus, because I found out that short buses.
They're all based on the heavy duty Express, yeah. Just count the number of wheel bolts, man. That'll tell you what tranny it has.
Exactly. Just get a short bus and throw the short bus drivetrain into that and call it a day.
Yes.
Because honestly, I love the Ford Fairmont. I actually like the turn signals being inside of the headlights. It's just super goofy.
That's such a 70s carryover.
Yeah, it's pure malaise. Pure malaise.
It just reminds me of like the Spider-Man comics.
Yeah, for real. It really does.
Stan Lee. I don't know. It just looks like a car Stan Lee would drive.
So this is one I struggled with a lot.
Okay.
Because I can't think of anything that's a direct, like, replacement. FCRX7.
Third gen Supra.
No. A third gen Supra is a heavy pig.
Really powerful engine, though.
If you get, but that's the thing is, you can get a FCRX7 for cheaper than a third gen turbo. That's in good condition.
Maybe a 1J third gen.
Is it 7M GTE third gen? It runs for more than a NA FCRX7. And NA FCRX7s, they don't weigh that much.
Well, that's true. That's why everyone throws a 302 in them.
Yes. So
Yeah.
that's like at first, like I'm like, okay, yeah, actually the third gen Supra is my first thought. I actually deleted that because I wrote that and I go, wait a minute. And I go, what about the Starion? And I'm like, well, Starion's slow. It sucks. Like it's
Yeah, but
really
you're
not
just
that good of a
assuming
car.
people are going to engine swap it.
Yeah. I think that if you're getting an FCRX7,
I'm still going to say third gen Supra.
I'd say an S2000. I think that'd be the closest thing to a replacement for how they feel. Like driving an
But a
FCR.
crappy S2000's worth 10 plus grand now. Yeah, they're really expensive.
Ryan invented
Recently,
this challenge and has been beaten by it.
I've actually been beating myself up over this for
and
like
I think that's
a
fair
week.
because like a lot of people think about this,
Yeah,
and
this
then
is-
go to the alternatives.
Yeah, and that's what in my entire life I've been getting the alternative car. Like I've never. I wanted a Supra, so I got a second gen Supra, which I love. I still love that car. It's one of my favorite cars. I wanted to get a nice like luxury sports sedan, so I got my Cressida. I wanted to get a Civic Si, so I got an EF Civic Si, not an EG. I wanted to get a fun Yabo car when I was a kid, and I got an CB7, not a Civic, because it was a little cheap cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to get a manual daily driver. It was fun to drive. I got a Mazda 5. I've always had.
Oh yeah.
I've always bought the alternative car to the cool thing, and this is
And that's why your next car is a Kazashi manual.
yes, because that's the ultimate alternative.
Oh, it's so mint.
I just want to see what the curb weight of an FCRX. Can you just look up?
Wrap one of those in like metallic brown,
Type
and you just
in-
have the ultimate enthusiast.
Just
car.
type in like 1988 RX-7 curb weight.
I just really want a drift hearse.
So they weigh
That's all I want.
3,400 pounds, full
Worst
like wet.
case.
Yeah. So that's where
That's probably a convertible too. Or
yeah,
something.
that's where the third gen Supra starts. So you're looking at 2,600 pounds for a base model, like super lightweight.
I like that it starts in kilograms.
Mm-hmm. Apparently, we've been googling that. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. See,
you're
I
right.
told you the third gen's a heavy pig.
Wow. With an auto, it's 3,500 pounds. With a manual, it's 3,389.
Yeah. That's why the
But
fourth-
if you gut it, heavy interior.
I mean, I guess if you really wanted to do that, but it's like, what would you replace the FCRX-7 with? I can't think of anything other than like the S2000's like way too expensive.
People drift heavy stuff all the time.
Well, no, I'm just talking about this is not drifting though. This is a car to enjoy, like to
The
actually
drift
get it.
tax is throwing me off in the title, so that's what I came at this with.
So no one, it's not just drift tax. Drift tax just applies to all people trying to buy A86.
Right.
So I think the FCRX-7, like that one, I'm stumped on. I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything that's exactly like that. Maybe a 200 SX. Oh, even then, that kind of sucks. I wonder how much a JDM Cosmo costs to import.
Nah, I can't do import stuff. That's not fair.
That's. I mean, at this point, you kind of have to. Because the RX-7, FC you can't beat. Because the FD is too expensive.
E30, man, they're in the same price point. And they're the same weight.
Yeah, I think you might have a good point.
You're just gonna have to start with a nicer one than you want to.
So just a more expensive E30. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say just get like a 325 with some rust and a manual. You
Yeah.
can still get them. So you're just gonna be paying $4,000 for it.
I think the correct answer is buy either a E90, buy a Cressida, buy a.
Yeah. Yeah, get something, one of those, because the bigger engine helps a lot. Rear wheel drive, yeah.
I really like the Cressida. I think that's like the
Cressida's
perfect
pretty
like
good.
response. Because
Just do head bolts on it.
what's if you can you just entertain me for a second? Type in 1979 Cressida curb weight. Because I think that the earlier ones are pretty light, like not like super light, but like pretty light.
Oh, jeez.
Wait 1 second. So 2851 pound. Yeah. So
Yep.
2,851 pounds. That's right on the money for.
That's the E30 325i.
So there you go, a first generation Cressida. So it's a it's a MA 370 60 MA 50.
Curb weight. Ah.
Yeah. So MA 50 series.
A full interior
Cressida.
E90 is 3,200 pounds. 3,285.
So you get that or a Cressida,
Mm-hmm.
and those are your best options. Or if you could really get really super weird, you could try and find a first generation Maxima with a manual, because those are 280ZXs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about the first gen Maxima.
The very first gen Maxima.
Yeah, if you can find it.
Yeah, I mean, like you're gonna have to like tip
We
over
found
rocks.
one once.
I've seen one once in my
Also,
life.
good luck finding spares.
Yeah, you're not gonna find anything for that. But yeah, I think it's your best bet.
We
It's-
found a really nice one that we almost bought, but then we decided not to.
yeah, because I was being my daily driver and I didn't want to drive it through winter. It was like
Yeah.
too nice. And it's just
It was owned by a very cute old couple that had
Aw.
a farm out.
Oh, it's like the guys I bought my Fiat from.
I couldn't say yes to that because I knew I was gonna ruin it. I'd feel awful. Anyway, let's just move these last two topics into the next episode.
Yep.
Because these are gonna be a little bit longer. So anyway, hey, thank you so much for listening. Hey, what did you guys learn?
I learned this week that Minnesota is near tectonic plates. And
Aren't they plate tectonics?
Tectonic.
plates.
There's plate
Plate
tectonics.
tectonics is the like moving and the
that's the
science
concept.
behind them.
Okay.
But the thing is tectonic plates.
Gotcha.
I forgot about that, even though that I studied geology, and now I am reminded and now in great fear.
I learned that there is a temple in India that is dedicated to the number 0.
It's kind of cool.
That's actually really rad because, like,
If you're gonna worship something, man, it may as well be irrational.
just worship nothing. It's actually really interesting how they thought about it because they're like, all of Hinduism is about returning to the nothingness in which the universe was born of, and 0 is the essence of nothingness. So they actually have a temple to the number 0. From it's an early Hindu temple. Anyway, the more you know. What did you learn? Yeah, what did you learn?
I learned that the South has pretty much ignored COVID-19.
Yeah.
Everything's open and nobody wears masks.
That's why everybody's dying.
Yikes.
Yep.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, now we know.
So
Anyways,
don't
thank you
go
for
to the South,
listening.
especially right now.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, guys.